This is video 1 for Unit 9, Lesson 4. What we're going to start working with, we're still simplifying radicals, but we're going to look at dividing. We're going to look at what's called rationalizing the denominator. Okay, so rationalizing the denominator is kind of like reducing fractions, like we talked about simplifying radicals was, so kind of the same kind of thing. We don't like radicals in the denominator, so I don't want the square root sign in the denominator. Okay, so if we think about how to get rid of the square root, well, to get rid of the square root, so if you have this, then we would want to square something, okay? So when you square something, you're actually multiplying it by itself. Alright, so rules of mathematics, I can't just do this. That would be nice if I could, but it doesn't work like that. You can't just put a square somewhere. But what I can do is I can multiply this fraction by 1 and not change anything. So I can multiply it by 1. Okay, so which I can do square root of 2 over square root of 2. So square root of 2 over square root of 2, that's 1. It's a different form of 1, but it's still the value of it is still 1, so it's perfectly fine to do. Okay, so when I multiply a fraction by another fraction, you multiply across the top. So 3 square root of 2 is just 3 square root of 2. You can't multiply things that are outside with stuff that's inside. Okay, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is just going to give me 2. And here's why. You can think about it. So square root of 2 times square root of 2, those are both inside, so you could multiply them together. And then square root of 4 is just 2. Or you're squaring square root of 2 by multiplying it by itself, so you get just what's underneath. All right, we're doing the same thing here. So I want to get rid of the square root of 12. I want to get rid of the square root sign. So I multiply top and bottom by square root of 12. All right, so I have 4 square root of 12 on top over 12. Okay, two things. Square root of 12 can be simplified, so I need to do that. It can be simplified because 4, one of my perfect squares, goes into it. So square root of 4 is 2. Okay, and then 4 times 2, those are both outside, so I can multiply those. Alright, now my 8 and 12 are both outside, so I can reduce those, I can divide them. So if I reduce them, then I get 2 over 3. So 2 square root of 3 over 3. I cannot cancel these 3's because one is inside the radical and one is outside. Okay. Alright, so I'm doing 2 radical 3 divided by 4 radical 2. So let me write that as a fraction. I want to get rid of the square root of 2 part, so that is what I'm going to multiply top and bottom by. The 4, since you're just multiplying it with square root of 2, you don't have to do anything with that. That can stay in the bottom. Okay, so when I do 2 square root of 3 times square root of 2, square root of 3 and square root of 2 are inside, so I'll combine those and do 6 square root of 6. And then 4 times square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So this is 2 square root of 6 over 8. Square root of 6 does not simplify, but I can reduce my 2 over 8 and end up with 1 square root of 6, so just square root of 6 over 4. Okay, so a lot of simplifying here. Feel free to pause it and try doing the next one. So I multiply top and bottom by square root of 5. I get 5. I can do 75 times 5. So 75 times 5 is 375 over 5. The 5s will cancel, so you can do that now, or we can wait to the end. We can simplify our radical first. So 375, I need the largest perfect square that goes into 375. It's going to be 25. 25 times 15. So the square root of 25 is 5, so that can come out. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. And now I can reduce these, so I end up, with just 5 square root of 15 over 1, and when 1 is in the denominator, you don't have to put it. Okay? All right, next one. So this time, if you have a fraction underneath, you can try to reduce the fraction first if you want, if you can. 3 over 5 does not reduce, but there was that division rule that said I could separate into 2 radicals. So this is what I'd want to start with. Okay. Now I want to get rid of the square root in the bottom, so I multiply top and bottom by square root of 5. Square root of 3 times square root of 5, they're both underneath, so you can multiply them. Square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5. Since 15 is underneath the radical and 5 is not, you cannot reduce those. Okay, so if you want to reduce 15 over 27, you can. That might make it a little easier. So 3 goes into the both of those. So it would be 5 over 9. Okay, and then separate. So you could rationalize and multiply top and bottom by square root of 9, but if you notice, square root of 9 is a perfect square. So I just get 3. If I do square root of 9, I get 3. And then that takes care of the radical in the denominator, and it's done. Okay, you're ready to do Unit 9, Assignment 5.